Hello friends, it's Mary from Rocky Mountain Gardens back again, and I have a fun video for you today. I am going to be redoing, or flipping you might say, some of the vintage and thrifted items that I've picked up recently. You know, I'm an avid thrifter and I sure do love saving money. So I will be showing to you how I restore and refinish these pieces that I picked up for a really good price. Let's go ahead and get into these projects. Here's a view of the things that I have thrifted recently. This nice piece of architectural wood, I actually got at Hobby Lobby 50% off. And I plan to stain it a darker brown color, which you will see here. This small piece I actually got at the Ark, which is a local charity shop, and it was very inexpensive. I'm actually going to use it in my bedroom. And then over here, I have a magazine rack that I'm going to be painting a different color. You can see that it is quite beat up, but it's sturdy and, you know, will be strong for holding my magazines. Now, on the other side of my island here is a really nice oil painting that I found. There's a view of the scenery, and I'm going to use this in my bedroom as well. But this frame is very beat up as well, so I'm going to go ahead and paint it. And then we'll move this. For a look of this piece, it has a small drawer. I have already gone ahead and cleaned up all of these pieces to get them ready for painting. So that's my project for today, and let's get to it. My first project is this magazine rack, and I'm going to be using this chalk paint made by Folk Art. It's called Nantucket Blue. So I have a smaller chip brush, and I'm going to work on the inside first and then continue with the outside of the piece. The next step is to use this Varathane finishing wax. It's called natural, but it actually is a clear wax that you can use to use as a sealer for any of your chalk paints. Let's finish up this piece now. And when I'm done with the wax, I'm going to let it set for a bit, maybe about an hour or so. And then I will come back and buff it up to get rid of any excess wax and just to make it look perfect for using in my library, actually. This project is one of those pillars that you can find at Hobby Lobby, and they look like they're made of white plaster, and they have a very rough surface. I bought this with the 30% off. It wasn't too expensive. I'll show you with a picture here how it looked when I first bought it. But I used a can of spray paint to get this gray color here. It is Gloss Enamel by Rust-Oleum, and the color is Smoke Gray. So I have it covered with simply one coat. I made sure I got everything covered well in all the crevices and so on. My next step will be to use this finishing wax by Jolie. It is simply called Black, and I'll be applying it here, and really the entire piece will be covered with it, and then I will wipe it back as well. The effect that I want to get is to have all these details really stand out nicely for my decor, because I'll be using this actually in my home. So let's get started waxing. I'm using my waxing brush to really get those bristles into all the little crevices on this piece. And because it is such a rough finish on the pillar itself, this took quite a bit of time, but it was well worth it. After struggling a bit to get this completely covered, I wiped it back, and now let's look at how I used it in my home. Next, I have this decorative piece of wood, and I have actually 3 total pieces that I'm going to be using this mixture here to stain. This mixture contains Waverly dark wax plus some water and a little dip or drab of ink colored chalk paint by Waverly as well. I mixed it up, and now I'm just shaking it up before I actually begin to use it. I'm just using a chip brush now to cover this thoroughly. It was a little time consuming to get into all of the little carved areas on this piece. And when I was done, I wiped it back to bring out the carving details. Now let's use this same dark wax mixture on this large piece of architectural design. So we'll cover it with a coat of the wax first. I have let the wax sit on this piece for about 30 minutes, and I've got an old rag that I'm going to start wiping it back with. I am just sort of randomly wiping back this piece to make it look weathered and worn and very rustic. I'm out in my garden now, and I'm going to be attaching this architectural piece above the door of my shed. So the first thing I'm doing is sort of pre-drilling a hole for the screw I'm going to use for the center of this piece. And now I'm taking my drill, I'm screwing in the center of the piece so it will be very permanent here above my door. And then I'm using a nail and hammering in the 2 sides of this architectural piece of wood and getting it attached very well so it's going to be looking great above my door. So let's see how it looks. Now for my painting here, I'm going to be using Waverly chalk paint in the color Moss. I think that will coordinate really nicely with the rest of the painting. Step number 2 will be to wax my frame as well. I didn't film this part, but you might notice that the inner gold trim on this picture I changed with Rub and Buff to the color Pewter, which I think coordinates better as well. So on this piece you can see this reddish brown tinge that the wood has from its earlier finish. By using my mixture of Waverly dark wax plus water plus ink chalk paint will help to tone it down and give it more of a brownish dark sort of walnut color is what I'm hoping for. Thank you so much for joining me for Flipping Friday today. And I hope to see you back again with my next video. Wishing you all a blessed weekend. This is Mary saying bye for now.